Welcome everyone. Today I am with another topic, direct and indirect speech. So if you see the definition of direct speech and indirect speech, so direct speech is something reporting the message of the speaker in the exact words of as spoken by the speaker. Yes, so reporting the message of the speaker in the exact word as spoken, and those words will be inside quotation. So if you can see an example there. Maya said, I am busy. The words in the quotation are the exact words of the person whoever have uttered. Yes, that will not change when we use direct speech. Yes, so indirect speech. So if you see what is indirect speech, reporting the message of the speaker in our own words. So Maya said, I am busy now. So I am busy now is the words of Maya. So when I put it in indirect speech, and if I report the message of Maya, I will report it as Maya said that she was busy then. She was busy then. Yes. So there are so many rules in direct and indirect speeches. So the basic rule is the direct speech and in indirect speech. When you convert the direct speech, the reported speech, into indirect speech, most of the change that we have is the tense change. Yes, so the indirect speech will always remain in past tense until we have the simple present or future tense or the universal truth in direct speech inside quotation. Otherwise it will be in past tense in indirect speech. So rule number 1 is that, so direct to indirect speech conversion, reporting verb, what reporting verb we use. So when the reporting verb of direct speech is in past tense, then all the present tenses are changed to the corresponding past tense in indirect speech. Okay, if the direct speech is in past tense, then all the present tenses are changed to corresponding past tense. She said, okay, example, she said, I am happy. So when you change it into the indirect speech, she said she was happy. She said she was happy. Okay, so this is one basic change. And if you see another change in rule number 1, so in indirect speech, tense do not change. As I told you, tense do not change if the words used within the quotes are the habitual actions or universal truth. Okay, so example, he said we cannot live without hair. Somebody told that. So the words inside quotation is we cannot live without hair. That is a universal truth. So that will remain the same even in indirect speech. So he said that we cannot live without air. So if you see the change of things in direct to indirect, the universal truth remains same. There is no tense changes in direct to indirect. But whereas see, another common change that you should notice is when it is in direct speech, we use the punctuation marks. You should be very careful that we are supposed to use the punctuation marks after said. He said, comma, open quotation, then the real words, close quotations. The words inside the quotations, that means it is direct speech. In indirect speech, we don't use quotation. Okay, we don't use quotation or any punctuation there. We don't use any comma after he said. Okay, instead we use he said that. Okay, then the tense of direct speech do not change if the reporting verb is in the future tense or present. So for example, she says I am going. So when you change it into indirect speech, she says she is going. I am going is she says she is going. So the tense of the direct speech do not change if the reporting verb is in the future tense or present tense. She says, or she will say, I am going. She will say, I am going. She says, I am going. So she says she is going. The tense does not change if it is in simple present or future simple, future tense. Okay, so this is rule number 1. So if you see the rule number 2, so direct speech to indirect speech conversion. So present tenses. So in present tense, so present perfect changes to past perfect and present continuous changes to past continuous. So that is the basic rule actually. So direct speech will remain in any tense. It can be future tense, it can be simple present or anything. So, but the indirect speech always remain past. So in case the exception that we saw, that is if it is an habitual or a universal truth, it remains the same. The words remains the same as indirect speech in indirect speech too. But whereas if it is in this case rule number 2, so present perfect will change to past perfect. Okay, same perfect but in past tense. So I have been to Chennai. She told me. She told me I have been to Chennai. Anyway, yes. So in indirect, when we change it into indirect, she told me that she had been to Chennai. Yes, in perfect tense, in present perfect tense, we use have been, and in all the past tense instead of have we use only had. So she told me that she had been to Chennai. So continuous tenses. So I am playing the guitar, she explained. She explained that she was playing the guitar. Yes. So what another thing that you should remember is if you have a be verb in the direct speech, the past tense of the past be verbs can be used in the indirect speech, and accordingly for the have verbs too. Yes, so these are the two main important rules that we have in direct indirect speech, and you have few more rules so that we'll see in the next videos.